The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Welcome back, everybody. Code Lavender, and we are closing out May with a very sensitive topic.
We are, yes.
I'm
Good
Dr.
afternoon to
Ashley.
all. And I'm Nurse Tanya. This one's a bit of meat and potatoes, Dr. Ashley.
Yeah, it's heavy, it's emotional, but it's really, really important.
It is.
That's why we want to talk about it.
Yes.
But I think before we get into our topic today, we want to welcome back our favorite eye doctor, Dr. Johar Mann. Preet, how is it up in Canada?
Oh, the weather's really nice, finally. So,
Finally,
is
right?
it really?
yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, okay. Well, that won't last long, honey.
Well, hopefully it does.
Yeah. I mean, we're almost in June, right?
Today, Dr. Johar, I was wondering, I get a lot of questions, as I'm sure you do, about why not use online vendors for contact lenses and eyeglass sales? And, I've got a big fistful of SHIT about that. So I'm just curious, maybe we could just talk about the pros and cons.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I know, obviously, online shopping is the rage.
It is.
Obviously, there's convenience, for sure.
It is.
Buying glasses from home, trying them on virtually.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's where it ends. I think the convenience, and maybe there's a price point there that patients like, but
Yes.
I feel like there are a lot of drawbacks. Definitely one thing being that you're not sure what quality you're getting. You're not sure if it's going to fit you properly. And you don't know if it's even going to work until you get them. And
you don't know what fit properly is.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if I don't know a pair of pants are too big for me, unless somebody tells me, they could go a little smaller than that, Tanya. How am I supposed to know? A lot of people I find feel like pushing up the glasses all the time. This is not worth bringing to your dispenser.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the first thing is I think a lot of people don't view their glasses as medical devices. They are
Correct.
They can be custom fit. I mean, you need to see, and you want the quality and the fit and everything to be perfect so you can function properly. I think glasses going online really took a boost during COVID, I guess, because people go in to see their optician or go to their dispensary or their optical or their optometrist. And
Yes.
it's still a small subsect. I think it's about 12 to 13%, but it is growing. And there's a lot of vendors. But the bottom line is, if you don't have good glasses, you may not be able to function to your full capacity.
Correct.
So I think it's something you need to take to an importance for sure.
I wonder as well, Dr. Johar, how different it is for glasses versus contact lenses. As you and I know, I dispense both. To all of this that they say, well, we can try them on at home. I mean, you know very well that I would be more than happy to send you home with a few pairs of frames that you could try with different outfits. In fact, I encouraged it strongly. Just, get your feedback and comfort. And I can point out to you, well, if something is uncomfortable, this is what it would feel like. And if it's leaving a red mark on your nose, this is what I can do to fix it, or it just simply doesn't fit.
Exactly.
I mean, it really does require quite a bit of human feedback for the eyeglasses alone. But when we're talking about contact lenses,
we hear so many horror stories about patients buying contacts online. They don't know where they're getting them from. They don't know what materials they are. The fit could be wrong. And you set yourself up for, sometimes serious eye infections that can cause blindness. I think people think, oh, I'm just going to look at my prescription. Sometimes they're wearing the wrong prescription. And sight is a very important sense. I mean, you need to not take that as lightly and just look at the convenience factor. I mean, I guess to a patient, they don't know all the stuff that we're looking at. We're looking at, when it comes to contacts, you're looking at the curvature, you're looking at, you know, the fit. Is it too tight? Is it too loose? Do you get the right fit? If you have an astigmatism, you know, is it not rotating? And then even when it comes to glasses, I think patients don't realize how many measurements we do, like the tilt of the frame, how it wraps around your head. You know, are the temples too long? Are the temples too short? Is it, you know, wide enough? Is it, you know, fitting your nose properly?
Yeah.
It's like even the eye placement even. Because I mean, my mom works for an eye doctor, so like for a very long time. But yeah, even like that, like most people don't realize that they actually mark the glasses where your eyes are. You know what I mean? Like I think people don't know all of that. So when you go in, I would never buy glasses online. Well, but my mom works for an eye doctor, so I know better.
Yeah,
But it's interesting that, you know, there are a lot of patients that get a bad experience and then they are coming back to storefront. And I mean, I tell patients, like, you don't have to buy from me, but I highly recommend you buy from a licensed optician, you know, that is going to do the right measurements. You know, I know cost can be an issue, but you can find budget-friendly frames and lenses with your optician or your optometrist. You know, I had you know, also for kids' glasses, there's like a few standards in North America. Like you have to make sure they're shatter resistant. There's like a thing called a drop ball test where, you know, they make sure that the lens material won't shatter on impact. I mean, you don't know where the lenses are coming from. They may shatter. And if a little kid's playing soccer in the playground and it gets hit and it shatters, I mean, that is it can be a serious injury just because you want to save a few bucks or the convenience factor of it. I actually recently had a bus driver that bought his glasses online and he was seeing double vision.
Oh boy.
Do you want your kid's school bus driver seeing double vision because he got his glasses online? I mean, we need more regulations and we need to figure out what's the best way to do it. I don't want to, you know, patient education.
Yeah,
for sure.
We need to talk to our patients. We really need to open that line of communication. And if it is something that they want to do, they need to go in fully informed.
Yeah, exactly. They have to go fully informed, and they also have to, you know, realize that, you know, it may work, it may not. There's a huge proportion that may not work. You know, it's like I was watching, you know, I get inundated with, you know, ads of online glasses vendors, just probably because of my algorithm.
Yeah.
But, you know, I saw this video and this optometrist was like, you know, you can buy sushi from the gas station. I wouldn't recommend it. You can buy glasses online. I wouldn't recommend it. It can be done, you know, so that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I have a question, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but something that's really sparking my interest probably in the last month. So these Ray-Bans, the AI glasses, and, you know, more and more and more people have them. And I'm sorry, but they're cool. I'm intrigued by this stuff. And one of my faculty the other day has them, and she said, oh, and you can take them and get your prescription put in them too, which I'm like, well, amen to that. But what do we know about them? Are there any health detriments of somebody wearing these glasses virtually all the time? Because
I mean, there are no studies to show. I mean, I guess it's going to be similar to how much you hold your phone to your ear, or you have your, you know, the AirPods in your ears all the time. I guess we're going to learn these things as time goes on. So far they're rated as being safe, and you know, everything's surveillanced. I don't know, like, I mean, I have a little bit of a, you know, love-hate with them. I think there's lots of cool aspects to technology, and all the techie people want it. You know, I'll tell you the directions. And I mean, I think Oakley's coming out with one as well.
I'm sure they are.
Google glasses. I mean, it's, you know, it's going to be the way of the world. But on another premise, I feel so like uncomfortable with everything being so surveillance all the time, you know?
Oh God, so do I. And it's not like I'm up to smut 24 hours a day. I'm not. It's just
exactly.
I mean, there are things that I would prefer to keep to myself.
Yeah, for sure. I think we all, you know, want a little bit of privacy. You might be videotaped. I don't even know. Like, you know.
Yeah. Oh, you are. Well, and I have a friend in the IT space, and of course he's very excited about it, but he has let me know that by 2028 at the latest, none of us will carry a cell phone anymore because of these glasses. And so I'm just like, wow. And I'll be the first one with them, I'm sure. I'm surprised I don't have them yet, but it's coming.
I'll be the last.
You had to make sure they were safe first.
Yeah, well, I just that I feel like we get lost in the sauce all the time, and nobody ever says, "Wait, is this okay to have this next to my brain, next to my eyes, constantly?"
Constantly, I mean, there are as nurses, there are people that used to hold their, I knew this, I don't know if it's true, but they used to put their cell phone in their bra and then they got breast cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, there are, documented cases of police who used to use the radar way back in the back of my dad's day in the 1960s, and that emitted radioactive, and it caused a lot of thoracic cancer or even cervical cancer before that was even monitored. So there was there certainly is, it's food for thought. I'll definitely give it. I just don't want all that information. There's enough in here now. I don't want anything else in there. Yeah. If I want to take a picture of something, I've got the phone. Honestly,
only for about a year too.
No, I'm okay with that though. Really. I mean, I take pictures of peculiar things as it is anyway. So it's probably better if we take our foot off on the gas. Okay. So, to summarize, I'm wondering how you feel about just the, here the thing is with me, Dr. Johar, is the maintenance people who this has been my prescription for 5 years. It hasn't changed. You have the measurements of the surface of my eye with regards to contact lenses. Let's just separate the two because I really think they are two different beasts. I'm wondering, what do you say to that person that just is absolutely insistent upon, because I do actually have a friend who's an RGP wearer, which are the hard contact lenses, and her fit has not changed. She's not keratoconic. She's just prefers, she's German. She grew up with the rigid lens. She likes the vision better. This is what she's sticking with. And her fit, clearly, as we both know, will not have changed. What do you have to say to her?
So, those patients, we get lots of those patients that are wearing the same glasses, same contacts, same RGPs for years and years. There's stuff that's happening that you can't see that is irrespective of your vision, irrespective of your comfort. You could have, blood vessels growing into your cornea that you can't see. You might have, severe dry eyes, or you've damaged your cornea to some degree or you desensitize your nerves. You need to get your eyes. It's like the
boiling frog. You don't know until you know that there's a real problem with particularly the corneal vascularization. When you get those growing in the cornea, the dry that dry eye. It's such an insidious beast. It just really creeps up on us, and oftentimes we don't even attribute it to anything specific. But if you really dig, which I used to do with patients, are you noticing this a lot when you're driving? Yeah. Well, do you know that you have the heater blowing or the air conditioning blowing? You're not blinking as often. Do you find this more when you're at the computer? So I feel like that human part where we query them and we interview our patients, that part gets eliminated, and it can be almost one of those things that we can head off before it becomes to the level of discomfort.
Yeah, when it becomes a real health issue in some cases. I just had a patient the other day, contact lens wearer, glasses wearer. She's 2.5 years out from her last eye exam. She goes, everything's perfect. I feel perfect. I just want to update, my contacts. I just want to buy more. And, I don't. I just say, we have to check it. And, otherwise, sometimes I go elsewhere and that's fine. But ethically, I can't do that.
Yeah. And we catch a lot too, Dr. Johar. So as we always say, you need to come in and have that looked at. It just, again, patient ed. We really need to make that relationship with our patients very strong. and encourage it with, particularly with nurses, Dr. Ashley. When we have them in the chair, we have them in the exam room. Why don't we bring it up? Why don't we talk to them? Why don't we say, hey, how's your vision? When was your last eye exam? Are you aware that you should have one on the regular? And it could probably save a lot of people's troubles, or at least mitigate them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, obviously nurses super busy. You guys are seeing so many patients, and a high stress job. And also some things go to the wayside for sure. I mean, I just had a patient today, she's had diabetes for 5 years, but no one even recommended that she get an eye exam.
No, see, that's definitely, is it not, Dr. Ashley? That is something that's so in our radar, is visual, because we know what happens to those veins. Feet and eyes, we're all over that.
So I mean, I think her primary care physician dropped the ball in that, and now she knows. So
well, and again, there's that relationship, there's that open line of communication, and we should never ever not take advantage of it when we are one-on-one with our patients to find out what's going on.
Exactly.
And I feel like most insurances cover it in full too. So there's really I don't see why there's a reason why you wouldn't go get your eye exam.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have to pay anything for mine. I mean, my prescription hasn't changed. It's so small. I literally just use it to play video games at night. I think he said I have 20, it's almost 2020 still, which surprised me because I'll be 50 this year. So I was like, woohoo, all excited. But
good for you.
Yeah, I got a good bill of health. He's pristine eyes. I'm like, woo. But he's known me since I was little because my mom works there. But yeah, my insurance covers it full. I didn't have to pay anything for that. I didn't have to pay for glasses, but I don't know why you wouldn't want to just take advantage of it, because insurance companies usually pay the full exam. I actually can go through my health insurance or my eye insurance and get a free exam. So
I think that it changes. It's one of those things that becomes more relevant to us as we age, when we are turning into that presbyopic phase of life. I feel like, we're more aware of cholesterol levels. We're more aware of heart health, blood pressure. I think once we cross a certain meridian in life, it's one of those things. And with vision, particularly, it does begin to decline. It gets more difficult to read. So I think it kind of makes itself unignorable.
Yeah. I mean, with the insurance point, I mean, Canada might be a bit different, but sometimes insurance is just not enough, right? For some patients, it doesn't cover enough. But overall, I mean, this last week I had a patient with lots of, cosmetic work done, nails done, look perfect, beautiful woman, but has some major eye issues, but didn't have insurance and didn't want to pay to get her eyes checked. So
wow. And with those lashes. Oh my God, those lashes are so dirty.
I know.
Oh,
we as eye doctors, we do not like. They look pretty, but they don't look pretty.
Mamma mia! Oh my God, no. There's a lot of cooties crawling around in those. All right, that's next time.
Eye cooties next month.
Oh, there's a lot of eye cooties. Oh my God, isn't there, Dr. Johar?
Oh yeah.
Pseudomonas, acanthamoebas.
Oh God.
Demodex living on your lids.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So next month we're going to talk about it.
Okay, I want to
bring pictures.
For sure.
Do it. You got them.
Yeah, we do.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Johar.
Thank you for having me again.
We'll see you next soon.
Time.
See you next time. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.
So here we are.
Here we are on to our topic today. And
it's a toughie.
Yeah, we're going to talk about violence against women. We're going to talk about rape culture, workplace harassment, online exploitation, and how is this impacting our society? Why is it being normalized? And then how does it kind of extend into our world of healthcare?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. However, before we do begin this conversation, if anything here is triggering for you, do take care of yourself. These conversations are extremely uncomfortable and difficult to have, but they're very important because silence protects the predators, not the victims.
Yeah. So for anybody who is unaware, and I'm sorry if you are unaware, but CNN released a pretty viral report, undercover reporter went under and she kind of uncovered a disturbing ring. She did an investigation, and it's being referred to as the rape academies, the online rape academies.
Yeah.
And basically, in summary, there were these online environments. You had to have a membership, but they were promoting sexual violence, coercion, manipulation, and exploitation of women. And it was being normalized. It was being taught and shared. It was being protected. It was being hidden. And I think one of the things that just made me sit down for a second was it was men doing this to their own wives.
Yeah.
And sharing it with other men, and the how-to, and just even, hey, you can look at my wife if I can look at yours, and very, very disturbing.
It, you know, so many people will hear this term rape academy and think it refers to one specific place. But to be perfectly honest, this conversation is a lot bigger than just one story.
Yeah. And I think it looks at systemic failure, you know, systems that repeatedly protect perpetrators and discourage victims from speaking up. And, you know, as women, we're kind of taught to shut our mouths and to accept this as normalized. And, you know, and I think that's a lot of what was happening.
Sadly, given that we all have sisters, we all have daughters, we all have moms. But all right. You know, we're seeing these patterns as well, Dr. Ashley, across universities, elite schools. In fact, one we recently talked about through, and this was all males, of course, but almost a private prep school in Las Vegas where they allegedly perpetrated some pretty severe accusations of rape against another student. Athletic programs, certainly, workplaces, military settings, online forums, and even social media.
Yeah. And the reporter who kind of blew the whistle from CNN, you know, first of all, whoever you are, because I don't think she herself got enough attention, but thank you.
Yeah.
But what she uncovered was these men were teaching each other how to drug their own wives. They were finding places on the dark web, whatever it is, where you could actually order sedatives that are controlled substances that shouldn't be being sold. And they were intoxicating their wives, so to speak, and then raping them, because if you can't consent, it's rape, and filming it and then sharing it, and the how to do this. And I think, like, even more importantly, this isn't new. This has been going on for a really long time.
Yeah.
You know, there's a woman in, I believe, France who actually pressed charges against her husband, and she's in her like 70s. So this is not a new phenomenon. It's out there and it's going on.
This man, and this is not an accusation. This has been convicted of drugging her and allowing other men to assault her over a period of years, decades even. You know, hearing stories like that just forces people to confront how deeply the manipulation, the control, and the violence can hide behind these normal appearances.
Yeah, and I think that's what was, like, for me, just kind of, you know, I think we always have to take a step back and kind of remember that predators, sometimes they're your husband. Sometimes they look safe. They're well-accomplished men. They have good jobs. They have careers. They dress nice. You trust them because they have the personification that you can. They're familiar. So I think, you know, it kind of heightens as a woman. And I have an 18-year-old daughter. She's meandering Europe right now. And like before she left.
Hi, Gianna.
Hi, Gigi girl. You know, I had all these conversations about the stupidest, ask for a drink cover, ask for the fentanyl strips, do this, do that, cover this, and I'm like, wow, like my mom didn't have to teach me this stuff. Maybe she should have.
My dad did.
You know, this wasn't really out there.
Unfortunately, yeah. My father was a police officer, and he raised me not to get raped. So let's define something really clearly. What is rape culture, Ashley?
Wow. So I think in summary, it's the normalization of sexual aggression, victim blaming, minimalizing assault, and, gaslighting, or, that's our new term, but really shifting the blame on the victim to where victims feel as though I did something to deserve this. Well, I did go have drinks with him. I went back to his house. This is not going to look good. Or he's important. He's got a good job. If I report this, nobody's going to listen to me.
I would love to say that this is not happening in modern times, but it is. And it sounds a lot like this. Oh, she was drinking. Or why was she there? What was she wearing? Or maybe he misunderstood.
Yeah. And again, like, I think, it's sad. We teach little girls from the time they're little to prevent this. Like, don't walk alone. Don't wear headphones while you're, especially at night. Watch your drink, share your location, text your friends, carry pepper spray with you. Check your back seat before you get in the car. Don't walk to the car alone. Ask for security to go with you. All of these things.
What do you do when you get in the car?
Go. I am the most naive person. You know this already. I need to do better.
I get in the car and I lock the door, which most women do.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't even think. I don't even think about it.
That shouldn't be on me. Why are we not teaching people to not rape? Women are taught how not to get assaulted, but we're not teaching our boys to not rape.
Yeah. I saw a really cool, because of course, when the CNN report came out, there was viral social media posts, like viral.
Yeah.
But beyond the big scary dogs standing with their female owner with a raw steak and not touching it, and the premises there was, even a dog who's hungry can control itself.
Yeah.
And I have a Rottweiler and a German Shepherd, and we tested the theory, and they listen to me.
Yeah.
And make no mistake, I have those two dogs to keep me safe. I targetedly picked the breed of dog I have, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But I think, I saw this mom, and she had 3 boys, and I have 3 boys. So I kind of loved it. And she put their favorite snacks on the table, and they were a variety of ages. One of them was more of a teenager, and then whatever. And she brought them in, and she used every form of a word that could mean no. Well, I'm not sure. And she taught those boys, unless the word is yes, it is always no. And I just thought it was cool that she related it to snacks, especially for the little one.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you can have it. And he started, and she goes, no. And that doesn't mean you can have it.
Okay.
And so I loved her take on it. But, I do hope that more of us do teach our boys.
I think that, again, it's
stuff.
coming into our responsibility as parents. Such a huge part of nursing is education. I think that patient education, maybe, we just need to take that extra step with our boys, because these boys are all children. They're all children of somebody. And I'm not blaming your parents. I'm just saying, please do everything that you can. I mean, even just down to like sexual harassment in the workplace, it can include anything as an inappropriate comment, coercion, unwanted touching, intimidation, retaliation, favoritism, sexual jokes, or creating environments where women feel unsafe speaking up. Never a problem of mine.
We know. And I think that's important to recognize too, that sexual violence doesn't just happen in a dark alley or
doesn't.
On a dating app. It's happening every day. It happens in schools. It happens in hospitals, workplaces, professional environments. And, I think going back to last month, we had Kathy on, and we talked about how as women, we're kind of a step back when it comes to wage earning and powerful positions. So women don't report this. We're going to lose an opportunity for a promotion. We might be retaliated against. We're going to be labeled as dramatic. people aren't going to believe you, oh, come on, he's married. I've heard that 100 times, things like that. So again, we're still sitting in that chair of don't stir the pot, just be quiet, look the other way.
Well, particularly with powerful people, they're protected because of their status, their money, their productivity, their athletics, prestige, or their influence.
Yeah. And I think, I've said a million times, power changes accountability.
It does.
The more powerful we are, the less accountable we have to be.
That's right.
We could be, but we don't have to when we're powerful.
Well, that's the thing, that people will go around behind you and clean up after you and hide things when you are powerful.
Right.
I mean, well, I haven't had it happen yet.
Then you have to ask a question like, what would the outcome of this situation be? How would this person be treated if he wasn't powerful?
Right.
If he didn't have money, if he wasn't of any kind of status in this company, if there was no reputation to protect,
right?
What would happen?
If it was the janitor?
Yeah. They probably don't get away with it.
No, they don't. Well, I think that we should definitely push this through the filter of healthcare as well, Ashley. Because victims of assault, coercion, of violence, they always end up in our care, in the ER, clinics, urgent cares, mental health settings, and exam rooms.
Yeah, and I was an ER nurse for most of my career, a very long time. And by the time they get to us in the ER, and I spent a lot of time with sexual assault, the system's already failed them once. And now they're with me in the ER. And, I'm sitting in this position of be delicate, be sensitive, make them safe, but don't let them fail it again. It's rough.
It's terrifying, the stories that you have told me about. So I remember one you told me about when I was actually in one of your classes about how they sort of circumnavigate, like, are you safe, and give them the urine, the urine bottle. And if you're not safe, put a red sticker on it. And if you are safe, whatever. I forget how the story went, but
I think it's really important, and we did it in labor and delivery. We do it
that you had a protocol.
But and it's
how many were happening?
So many more than what we would have ever caught previously. But the one time a child or a woman or men too, are not free of assault.
They sure are not.
The one time they're free of their perpetrators when we ask for a urine sample. For whatever reason, abusers don't tend to go with them to pee in a cup. And in the bathroom on the back of the toilet, there was a sign, and it just said, if you need to put a sticker on your cup, please do. And it said, not even dots, it said, I am not safe at home. And then at least it alerted me to, okay, now what do I do?
And you saw those stickers.
We saw them way more than I like to admit. And, victims, because that's truly what people are when things happen to them. I have, and it breaks my heart because I know that, we are all here to help, whether it's the police who were involved at the initial insult, whether it's us. They distrust people of authority.
Yeah.
They don't trust them. They delay reporting. They have a million reasons why. And then it depends on what you get. They're angry. They are flat. Sometimes they're even calm. They're oftentimes emotionally disconnected. And then I think one of the hardest things is their storytelling becomes very inconsistent. And on the other end, that results in disbelief. And it's so hard because I believe every one of them. I truly believe every one of them, but that is not often the end game.
But a lot, this is going to be a fight or flight response, which nurses all recognize that term. And we all know that what's happening chemically inside may not be reflected on the outside. How you respond to a fight or flight may not be what I respond to a fight or flight, given my background. I'm having that cortisol spike every time I have to deal with an emergency. I'm not going to fall apart when it happens to me necessarily if I'm conditioned by let's say my career, to know how that this is not actually something. It just becomes like almost like a neural pathway. The brain doesn't necessarily say help, 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 but it does internally, and that may not be reflected on the outside due to it's not convenient to display those emotions in our career. I think that we oftentimes will freeze.
Yeah, and the freeze response, it is deeply misunderstood.
Yeah.
It is, and then Jesus. The questions of, well, why didn't she leave? Why didn't she scream? Why didn't she fight? Why did she not call the many resources she was given? And I read a statistic this morning, actually, while my students were testing it. I don't want to believe it, but I looked at the source, and it is a valid statistic. 70% of women who leave a relationship that has domestic violence in it die. And 30% of them die within the first year.
My God.
At the direct hand of their perpetrator. So all these restraining orders, and I always laugh about this, like restraining orders, cool. The type of person that we place a restraining order against doesn't generally follow that restraining order. It would be beautiful if they did. It's a piece of paper that doesn't have a lot of clout in my opinion.
Right.
So,
but I
think women or victims learn that over time. So when you say, well, we'll get a restraining order, that doesn't matter to them. It doesn't sound real protective.
Yeah, no. Because, we aren't even wired the same way anymore after we've sustained so many violent episodes or fearful episodes or traumatic episodes or dangerous. The brain, it's not wired the same way as it was that first time.
Yeah. Well, and then I think, again, when they get to us in the healthcare arena, we're not there to investigate.
No,
we're not there to prove what happened or you're lying or it didn't happen. We're really just there to collect evidence from a physiological and psychosocial standpoint.
Yeah, to give them some dignity or trauma-informed care, which is something that we all really need to brush up on regularly as nurses. And by all means, the objective documentation, which is critical.
Yeah, and I think, please remember, if you are the nurse dealing with this, even the most subtle hint of disbelief from you can re-traumatize somebody who's already feeling dismissed or scared.
Yeah.
So it really takes a trained person to deal with victims.
Yeah, unfortunately, or it takes a victim. Simpler statements may matter the most in that you can just simply say, look, I believe you. You're safe here. That's a big one for me, is you're safe with me. And you're in control of this. And I'm going to explain everything before I do it, which nurses, we really should be verbalizing what we do. I don't care if that's all you do all day long, every day. It may be the first time anything's happened to anybody. Even something as banal as taking a temperature can jolt somebody. You don't know what this patient's gone through prior to when they made it into your exam room. Just please tell people what you're doing before you do it. Just make it part of your job. It's awesome. You connect with your patients.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is I think we don't give ourselves enough credit, but as the nurse, as the healthcare worker, you're probably the first safe person that victim has encountered.
Yeah.
Especially in the acute stage of an assault or a traumatic, event. You're probably the first person who even makes them slightly feel safe.
That's so horrifying.
Yeah,
it's just so terrifying. And, this can take a pretty serious toll on we nurses as well.
Yeah, I mean, assault cases, abuse cases, and yeah, we always, when we think about the word abuse, we think about child abuse. And yes, child abuse is awful, but there is abuse of all forms, and it touches every lifespan, every age, every sex, every race. Human trafficking, that's,
we do not talk about this enough.
It's a newer thing. We are starting to talk about it, but it's rampant. It is. And trafficking just isn't loading some girls into a truck and selling them as sex workers. There's all kinds of trafficking out there.
That's so true.
Coercion. But for us as healthcare workers, it does become distressful, and it can even, create sort of like moral distress issues. And, I've talked to people. I had a case years ago. I'm not going to discuss it because it's too sensitive, but it involved a couple children, and that was a rough one for me. I took some days off. I took some mental health days. I didn't go back to work.
But you still carry it.
I do. And, it changed kind of how I even wanted to work at the time. Like, I didn't want to work in that anymore. I didn't never want to see something like that again. So I think our priority is always our patients, but we have to think about us too. And there's a lot of different initiatives that are developed for employees in some facilities. And after something really awful happens, we do take a minute to have a moment of silence if it's about a patient, or have, just a huddle together to talk about, this just happened. Like, we acknowledge it. We're going to get through the shift, but we're here. We'll help you. What can we get? So I think there's a lot of that. And then there's a million other emotions.
There really is. I think the thing is, when we leave work carrying those with us after our shift, you haven't put it down. Yeah. You haven't, after all these years. You carry a lot of this with you. You have a lot of ghosts that ride around with you in the back seat.
Right. And that's, what we talk about all the time with our colleagues, that we talk about police, we talk about just civil service and nurses, and the burnout and the gallows humor, and the, when we sat with Campy, we talked about, like, you just see this awful thing, and then you go home and like make a lasagna for the kids, and you have a birthday party, and you pick up decorations or something, like nothing ever happened, or we drink, or, so I think that's why Code Lavender is important to us. We want a space where we do talk about this
and we
stuff.
Take care of each other, because really, I don't know if there's really anybody else that can take care of us. I think you kind of have to be one to know one. Takes one to know one. I don't know. So can we talk maybe about some practical safety awareness and preparedness that, it may be stating the obvious, but let's state it.
But I don't know if it is.
Let's say it again. I think it bears repeating.
I agree. So, when you're going out, and I think too, like, we have to say it out loud. Dating, it doesn't matter if you're 20 or 50, it's happening online. We're meeting people on dating apps. Cool, fine, whatever. You get to chit chat back and forth, but how safe is it?
It's not.
Maybe it is. You don't know, but let somebody know where you're going, your safe space. Share your location with somebody. Let them know you're there. I mean, I go as far as, I'll send Tanya a picture. Like, this is,
yes.
Hey, listen.
Yeah. So fellas, if you're watching, I know who you are.
Oh, God, help us so.
So we're going to let that one sink in for a few moments. I do.
Anyhow, drinks, right? And this you don't have to be on a date. Like, listen to me when I tell you, all women, do not take your eyes off your drink. Don't go to the bathroom. Take that shit with you. Yeah. Watch the bartender make your drink.
Yeah.
Nowhere is safe. Don't take an open drink from like some stranger who wants to give it to you. If a guy wants to buy you a drink at the bar, awesome sauce. You can watch the bartender make it.
Also, don't ever forget.
Yeah.
That means something to bartenders.
And also too, they're really, I feel like public establishments are stepping up. They have drink covers now, and they're just a little, you can ask for them. You can buy your own.
Yeah.
They have like an adhesive around the rim. You put it right on top of your drink, and it has either a sippy spout or a straw insert. A lot of bars have fentanyl test strips
They
now.
do. They
And
do.
you can ask for them. I feel like they offer them sometimes,
Yeah.
depending on what kind of place you're at. There are scrunchies that you can wear on your wrist that can cover your drink. They have like a cover that comes out over. So there's things out there to protect us when we're trying to just have a nice drink with friends.
Yeah.
And I think, this is not being paranoid. And that's the thing. This is being safe. It should be normalized. It should be every single time.
Well, I mean, it is normal to protect yourself. What it should be is that it's not necessary.
Well, and I don't know if we'll ever get there. And now a lot of bars, common language, the angel shot.
Angel shot, yep.
It's kind of like a program, and depending on where you're at, it might mean different things. But if you order, if you feel unsafe, go to the bartender and ask for an angel shot.
Yes.
If you ask for it neat, somebody needs to take you to your car. If you ask for it on the rocks, you need a ride home. If you ask for it with lime, call the cops. And bartenders, I actually have a friend who's a bartender. She knew exactly what to tell me these things meant.
Yeah.
They speak this language. They know about it. So
I think most urban or particularly areas that are around campuses are familiar with these terms, highly familiar with these terms. This has been around since I was a youngster going to university in Nova Scotia. So that's many, many decades ago. They didn't have this quite vernacular, but this behavior, all bartenders have a protocol. And if you don't feel safe, they'll take care of you. They will unilaterally.
Yeah. And I think, fentanyl, it's a huge issue. Fentanyl's out there. It's this amazing drug that we love to use to treat people's legitimate pain in a controlled environment, but it's being found in a lot of different substances. People have no idea they're consuming it. Sufentanil, which is even worse, is on the street now, and it's a synthetic form of fentanyl, but it can kill you. The bottom line is, so I love that they have the test strips out there. Sometimes they're in a vending machine and maybe you have to pay for them, but a lot of times they have harm reduction stations, or just like they're in the bathroom often. I was in a bar in New Orleans and they were there. I honestly didn't know. I thought they were like, why are there urine test strips in this bar?
Who's a diabetic?
What are we testing? Well, I thought it was like post-coital UTI awareness.
Oh,
checking for the UTI after sex, but no, it was a fentanyl strip. So it's there.
Yeah. Listen, we're not judging. This is about keeping people alive. So, if you want to do it, go right ahead and do it and rock it if you're going to do it. Yeah. Share it. Tell people what you're doing and tell them why.
Yeah. And I think, this isn't about judgment. It's truly about safety.
It is.
And, we hear horror stories of somebody partying and, dying. So I think it's important that we kind of educate people. If somebody's not really awake, that's not okay.
Yeah.
No, they're not just so drunk that they'll sleep it off. Like, you really need to get some help.
Well, if they're that drunk, that's a problem. That you have to enter a whole other protocol. And as parents, I think this should be something we're walking our young adults through. Just saying, like, if somebody is unresponsive, if their lips are blue, they're not breathing the proper rate, we're going to start with XYZ, turn them over on their side. If you can't wake them up with like a pinch up here or a rub here, then we've got a problem. We need to escalate, and nobody is going to judge you about this. It's all good. We want to keep people alive because you don't want to carry that load around with you for the rest of your life that you coulda, shoulda, woulda. Just do it.
Right. And you don't know if it's just alcohol. Did somebody slide something in their drink? And, the other thing, I'm not having an academy here, but Visine in your drink can do a lot of damage.
Sure can
make you so
sick,
screwed up that you don't know what's going on. And that is a common tactic used in bars.
And
just slipping a little
do it
Visine
right
in a drink.
over your beer bottle.
Yep. You know, you're sitting there, somebody takes out Visine to do their eyes, watch your drink.
Yeah.
And you know, Narcan, let's talk about Narcan.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I know about New York and New Jersey because that's where I practice, but we have a state standing prescription for Narcan. Anybody can walk into any pharmacy without any question and buy Narcan. They will give us nasal administered Narcan. You put it in somebody's nose, you squeeze it, and you're good, just like a nasal irrigation.
Stand back after you do it, though, because they get really mad when they wake up.
They do get very upset when they're awake, but you know, I think you can get a couple doses for like $70. Insurance will cover it. So if you're not too proud to use your insurance, knock yourself out. But I have it in my purse. I have it in my car.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of venues have it now.
Yeah. I mean, we're on festival season now upon us, and we're going to see a lot of overdoses. We're going to see a lot of heavily intoxicated. We're going to see a lot of young people who are in a state where they are in a good position to be victimized. Watch out for your friends, will you? If you see somebody that doesn't look okay, go check in on them. It's really, honestly, you don't want to carry that around with you for the rest of your life. You really don't. If you see something, just ask them if they're okay. If nothing else, you clear your conscience.
Oh, and I think again, back to dating apps. That's a whole conversation.
It really is. But they can lead to healthy relationships, Ashley. I mean, but you know, women just really need to put that priority on their safety, because there are certain things that we can do to kind of mitigate how dangerous our situations are, such as meeting in a public place first. And again, tell someone where you are.
Yeah.
Share your location. If you have a weird feeling in your stomach, trust it, because intuition.
The red flags.
The red flags are very, very strong. If someone seems in a hurry to get you to an isolated location, and let me tell you something, furthermore, it doesn't even have to be an isolated location. There are, and this has happened to someone I know very well, walking down 8th Avenue in New York City, and she was with a guy she knew. She knew him for a while, knew who he was, and they texted back and forth and so on. And he decided to give her a kiss, right? Well, the next thing you know, he's got his zipper down and he's pulling out his penis on 8th Avenue in the middle of the day, 2:00. And
no shame.
Not like, and she was very frightened by this, and pushed him away. He was just a little guy, and she pushed him away, and flagged down the guy walking ahead of her and grabbed his arm and said, "I'm in trouble. Can you walk me for a couple of blocks?" So please don't think that this just happens in a dark alley. It doesn't.
Well, and I think too, like, women are out there and they're using like an online safety community. There's a lot of those groups out there. Are we dating the same guy, and the T apps and things like that? And women go on and they I mean, of course, there's a lot of smut and nonsense, but some women are legitimately sharing warnings or experiences that they had involving somebody they've met on a dating app. You know,
look, some people will criticize those. I mean, there's always going to be critics. But they really can be survival tools for other people who have run into some unsafe people, and the traditional means have failed them.
Yeah. And I think, you know, we're building our own safety networks because we're forced to. And I think that's what we have to continue to kind of talk about. It would be really cool if we didn't have to do all this stuff and we could just go sit and have a drink and meet a nice guy and, you know, happy wedding bells or something. I don't know.
Well, I want to maybe introduce this thought that I don't want to throw in the tagline of "wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to," because the fact of the matter is that we do, and I'm not apologizing for it.
Yeah. So, and you know, I think like when we were preparing to do this episode, and we've got more stuff coming, but
Yeah.
One of the things that we kind of kept going back to is somehow, some way, women who leave, there's something that makes them go finally.
Yeah.
And it's different for every person you talk to.
Yeah.
And it is all over the place. But what happens when a woman decides to leave?
Yeah.
You know, if this is a domestic situation, what actually happens?
Well, because leaving this abusive situation is often the very most dangerous moment in this whole debacle.
Yeah. And oftentimes women leave with nothing. You know, maybe they've been contemplating it and they're waiting for the right moment, and that right moment comes at the most inopportune time. They don't have phone chargers with them. They don't have toiletries. They don't have a change of clothes. They don't have any cash with them. Sometimes they can't even grab their phone at all. Sometimes, you know, they just grab their kids and they have nothing for their kids. And then they get out and then where do they go?
Right.
You know, so there's all these things that maybe should have been planned, but aren't, because it's oftentimes a spur of the moment.
Yeah. And I mean, as nurses, these are our patients. So, I mean, we will see these people sitting quietly in emergency rooms trying to figure out, where am I going to sleep tonight?
Yeah. And so we are getting ready we just started planning, but we are going to do an initiative we're really excited about support women like this.
Yeah. So the idea is pretty simple, honestly. We want to do some emergency go bags for women who are escaping domestic violence situations.
No luxury bags, no influencer involved.
No.
This is going to be a super practical survival bag for a crisis situation. It might only have things in it that get you through the first 24 hours, but it's just that layer of, you did the right thing. Here you go.
Yeah. You know, things like that, you know, what do you use in a 24-hour period, Ashley? Like toothbrushes, toothpaste, deodorant, body wipes, pads and tampons, underwear, socks. Believe it or not, socks are a big one.
Yeah.
Snack bars, and maybe a little small blanket.
And for moms, you know, with kids, snacks again, snacks, but diapers, baby wipes, some formula packets that can be mixed with water, comfort things for kids.
Yeah.
Is it a pacifier or a blankie or something to play with? Some of those little, whatever the toys that are, you know, calming, fidget spinners, that whatever those toys are.
Squishmallows
there.
But we said from the beginning, if we do this, it really does have to be the hard focus at the beginning has to be on toiletries, I think.
Yeah, but safety also, you know, and that's where it kind of comes in. So I also want, and I've been working on, we both have safety. So in the bag, beyond the pads, the tampons, the whatever, there's going to be hotline numbers, shelter resources based on the area where we're at, legal aid information, because that's the other problem too. You get out and then it all starts and now you need an attorney. And I don't know if anybody's ever paid an attorney. But enough said. Emergency contacts, a safety plan sheet, and then other silly things like maybe a prepaid phone card, maybe burner cell phones, whatever. And I mean, this sounds really dramatic. It sounds like we're doing an episode of like SVU, but they need phones and ways to communicate that cannot be found by the perpetrator.
That's right. You know, because just imagine escaping abuse and then having no safe way to call for help.
Right. And I think the other thing that's really important is I don't want to help 5 or 10 people with this really cool bag and then be like, well, you know, that's what we have to do. So we want to sustain this.
Yeah. And I mean, we want this to be highly visible, consistent, and community-based.
Yeah. And I think, like, you know, obviously I always say nobody can do anything alone. So we're really looking to partner with social workers. Social workers are the most valuable friend I have in my work.
Sure are.
Domestic violence shelters, the ER, because oftentimes these patients come into the ER and they get 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or more like 6 hours, because we know how the ER is, of safety.
Yeah.
and then they make the decision to go back home.
Yeah.
Because they have time to think it through and they realize, well, I don't have anything and where am I going to go? And, you know, in the emergency room, I think we could do better. We need to have real resources. We'll hand them a number and say, well, you could this, you could that. But I think really having something available to them to be able to go where they need to go.
And fair enough, because we have enough to do in the ERs as nurses. So this is where we can really step up, Ashley. And, these people, they're responding in real crises moments. So I think that, it's just members of society. Like, we can fill in the blank here. We can step up.
Yeah. And then even like working with our police departments and partnerships there, what resources do you have? Because we all, and that is one of the biggest disconnects in healthcare, nursing specifically. We don't even know what's available to people.
No, we don't.
Because I think that's where we all screw up. All these awesome like volunteer groups and people outside of the walls of the emergency room or the hospital, they do all these initiatives, but they don't really communicate it to us. I think they communicate a lot to maybe towns and schools and that's a tactic that we use in public health. We put crap in kids' backpacks because sometimes it's the only way it gets to adults.
Yeah.
But I think really just trying to grow this and anybody who can connect the concept and help people for real.
Yeah. I really would love to see this kind of spread out more into like a voluntary assembly days, supply drives, community partnerships, and real action instead of just awareness, because I really feel like, this is something we can do.
Yeah. And I think, I just want to say to everybody, if you're somebody who's thinking about leaving, you're not weak. You can leave. It's hard, but there are people who will help you. And I know that's the feeling. Nobody's going to help. I have no help. I have no family. I have, there's 450 reasons not to leave and one really, really, really important one to leave, but the 450 often win.
Yeah.
So I think, there are people who will help you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we just want to give you a little bit of dignity back.
Yeah. So I think, anybody out there who wants to help, we're going to start posting stuff. We're really kind of like stirring the pot right now.
Yeah.
Figuring out what goes where.
We got a lot in that pot.
Yeah. And then I think social media safety is worth talking about too.
Yeah.
There's crazy stuff out there. And I had this conversation with somebody a couple weeks ago. Our kids are going to see it. I don't care what you take from them. You can ground them till tomorrow or till they're 18 and and take their phone and they go to school.
Yeah.
When they get there, they're friends and, they have access to this stuff. So I think we have to quit kind of looking at it that way and say, okay, my kids see this stuff all the time, and start normalizing the conversations of, hey, that's really not okay.
Yeah.
Or, when we're talking to our kids, teach them safety and respect, boundaries, being accountable.
Yeah.
And just good digital behavior, right? I think that's a weird term, but digital behavior, it's out there.
Yeah. That is actually, that's one of those things that I don't know that, there's a real handbook of how to talk to your kids about good digital behavior, is there?
No. And, just when you think you've seen it all, something else happens, I think, and it's evolving. I mean, we just talked about Ray-Bans. We're not going to have cell phones soon or whoever else is making, it's going to keep going. And, I think that the best that we can do is just teach our kids how to use it responsibly.
Yeah.
And it's a tool, all this stuff is tools. Social media and digital, whatever, makes us better a lot of times. But, I think they have to understand that just because a really cool, important person said this on TikTok or on Instagram, it doesn't make it okay.
Yeah.
You know,
well, a
'cause
tool
there's
is
a lot
still
of
just a
that.
hammer in a box until you pick it up.
Right. And, you know, talk to your daughters about safety for sure, because it's out there.
Yeah.
And I really, with my work, you know, I'm a very diverse clinician, but
Yeah.
I think talk to your sons about the violence that's out there too. I've seen male children attacked as much as I have females, and then talk to your sons and daughters alike about violence. And it is not okay to violate somebody or to, you know, take advantage of somebody who clearly says no, or who doesn't clearly say no. If they say, I don't know, I don't feel, maybe not, that means no.
Yeah.
Until the word yes comes out of somebody's mouth, the answer is no. And
Yeah.
I think it's so important.
And
to
even
teach that.
behavior leading up to the question is not a yes.
Yeah.
It isn't.
No. And I think, you know, and violence against women in its own, it's not just a women's issue.
It isn't.
It's societal, it's healthcare, it's cultural.
Yeah.
And anybody, you know, and I forget what the statistic was. I was, you know, me and my research, but it's like, I think a third of all women 19 years old have been assaulted in some capacity already.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's really disturbing to me. So, you know, it's not your fault.
It isn't.
You deserve to be safe and respected. Your story does matter. We care. We're going to listen to you.
Yeah. I mean, and, you know, there's just so much strength in surviving anything like that. And there's a lot of power in speaking up, believe it or not. And there is inordinate strength and power in protecting each other.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too, I want to just throw in there, because it's not even something we talking about, but elderly women too. You would not believe the amount of abuse, and elderly people in general, but financial abuse is huge in the elderly population. You know, somebody who's taking care of their finances because they're so unable to do it themselves often extorts them for money.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also physical violence. There's, you know, assault and rape against elderly women.
There is.
In astonishing numbers.
So,
you know, it just kind of goes to show that this really doesn't discriminate against any one kind of person. So I think we all have to be aware.
Yeah. And just let's check in on the women in your life and support survivors. Believe each other, believe women, and let's protect each other.
Yes. So I think, you know, topic that we are both really, really passionate about. Yes. So more to come, but definitely really excited to start our initiative of making go bags, maybe for a different purpose than what go bags were intended for, but to really help somebody who needs it.
Yeah.
No judgment.
Yeah.
Here's your bag. Let us know if you need help.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that idea. That is amazing.
Yeah. So that's more to come on it. It's still in it's very
it was like a 2-second conversation that evolved into like endless text messages over 24 hours. I was like, hey, you know,
it's a seed. It hasn't had sprout yet, but it's a seed.
It's getting there though.
Yeah.
It will.
It will, for sure. They always do with us.
All right. So
I think we're about finished with our topic for today. That was a lot of things to get through.
Yeah. And we will see you next month.
I think that's going to be it for us today. I hope everyone has a healthy month, and take care. We'll see you soon.
We will see you soon.
Thank you.